Hello. Welcome. Can you guys hear me? Maybe. Yes. All right, perfect. So many audio issues. You have no idea. But we got it working, and there's a chat box on screen, so I'm way better than spam already. Anyways, welcome to week 1. Oh god, that is so hard to read the font. Sorry. I was bragging about the chat box. Maybe if we put it over here, it'll be easier to read. Maybe on the bottom. Oh wait, this is tech. Wait a minute, that's tech. And now it's so easy to read. Yep, don't worry, you are all free to be lurking. Don't worry about that. Very understandable. Bang, wow. We have a box on screen. Alright, sorry for being so scuffed, but yeah, let's get into it. So, this is week 1 of the Phalanx Draft League, or the ODL Draft League, Olympian Draft League, the ODL. This is the Phalanx division. The best division is the VGC based one. And there were a lot of really good matches this week. There were a lot of interesting matches. I think everyone kind of showed their rust a little bit. No one more than the guy you're about to watch, set 1, which is me versus saline syrup. So, yeah, I'm gonna be talking about, if you're new to these streams, I go through all of the replays and kind of break down what I think good plays were in the moments. You kind of just like react to the matches and offer an opinion as someone who has some draft league experience. I played seasons 1 and 2 and won the Phalanx division both times. So hopefully people can understand that my criticism is constructive and not trying to bash anyone. We also do Elysium, where the best performance of the week is crowned Elysium, and they are, if you get Elysium 3 times, you go to the Isle of the Blessed. It was created by Spam. I think it's just a nice way to kind of show off, hey, this guy did a good job, came up with the cool tech usually, or played very, very well. And then there's also Fields of Punishment, which is, it's designed to kind of say, hey, you either didn't put in as much work as you should have, or you made a silly mistake. And it's not trying to the goal is not to just beat up on people that already know they played poorly, but the goal is to hopefully help people understand where they can improve. That's kind of the whole idea with these streams. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into game 1 of the first matchup, which was me versus Saline. I'm going to be making a video that goes very, very in depth on this matchup, and I'll be doing weekly videos breaking down my matchups. If you want to see more, we'll be uploading them on the ODL Blyzrd channel. And then I will also be talking about what I think the game of the week is. That's something that I hope to start doing. Just kind of saying what my favorite matchup was, or what I thought the best played matchup was this week, because a lot of the times there will be 2 opponents that both play very well, and so it's hard to say like which one of them played better, or like is a better player. Sometimes games are just super intense, and that's always fun to watch. Also, see, if your wife's name is Elysium, that's crazy. That's a crazy coincidence. But no, you don't automatically get it, unfortunately. So, we also, hopefully, I will be able to update the power rankings that we did before the season started. I'm going to be trying to update those weekly with kind of how I think they might have changed based on the gameplay of the coaches. So yeah, let's get into game 1. You can look at the Terra types ahead of time. There are 2 Pokemon that are not allowed to Terra here, the S tiers. One of those being Ursaluna, that's why it's Terra Stellar, and Golden Ghost is Terra Steel because that's the default for it. But neither of them are allowed to click Terra. We have had a few people mess up with that because the S tier and A plus tier Pokemon are Terra banned. We've had a few people make some mistakes with that, but hopefully we can, as the season goes on, that'll stop happening. I think this matchup is really interesting because I didn't know what Salient's team was going to be doing. Like, he has one form of speed control, on Meowscarada, which is Trick Room, one form of speed control on Salamence, which is Tailwind. He also theoretically has Icy Wind on Blastoise, maybe, but I'm a Trick Room team, so that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to run here. So I should theoretically have the speed advantage for most of this battle, or most of this set. But my goal is kind of much more straightforward. Set up Trick Room, maybe set up one of my Pokemon like Samurott or Tauros or Ursaluna. I can have Pokemon that are very slow and do a lot of damage, like Ursaluna and P2, while Sinistcha protects them and heals them. Volbeat's another great support mon. I can set up Tailwind for my faster mons of Samurott and Tauros. So I feel like my game plan is a little more straightforward, which is why his is a little scarier because I don't know what to expect out of it. So, yeah, let's get into the match. I lead Volbeat and Sinistcha because I want to kind of create a little mind game right away. Am I going to go for Tailwind? Am I going to go for Trick Room? I'm obviously a Trick Room team, but Tailwind Volbeat is definitely an option. And I have some very fast mons at the back, like that I could potentially have in the back. So I'm already forcing a little bit of a mind game. Not too much of one, but yeah. I also am running Covert Cloak on Volbeat, so Blastoise can click Fake Out here and do it, but that is, its Fake Out is useless here pretty much. And yeah, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but he does click Fake Out, which doesn't affect me, so I can set up Light Screen for free. And then he knockoffs, which crits and OHKOs. So, fun fact, the only way that this Sinistcha dies here is if it is Choice Band, 252 EV, max attack, Adamant, Passimian, that clicks knockoff and crits. So, even if it crits, it does not kill unless it's Adamant and Choice Band. So, that was a really rough start to turn 1. I thought I was going to be getting up Trick Room for sure, but it really kind of messed up the rest of this game, and it revealed the fact that I am Mental Herb just in case he has Taunt, because he has a lot of mons that might run Taunt. I trace his Defiant, which is kind of funny. He switches into Salamence, meaning I get actually a Defiant boost, and he's able to knock off my Eviolite, which is unfortunate. I go for an Encore into his Fake Out, which doesn't do anything, but he knocks off my Eviolite, and I get up Trick Room. So it's not that bad of a turn for me, honestly, all things considered. I get a free switch into Ursaluna, and I Terra Ghost, and Terra Blast. Now here, I could very easily Ice Beam into the Salamence, but I assume, alright, he has Salamence in front of my Porygon. He's going to assume that I go for Ice Beam, so he's going to Terra, or he's going to Protect or Switch, or whatever, but he doesn't. So I just kind of make a mistake by going for Passimian here, but I also assume he's probably not going to hit Porygon with another knockoff. He's probably going to go for Ursaluna. He also Hurricanes and gets Confusion, which is really annoying. And he does knock off, and he crits that too. So I lose my AV, which is really annoying, and I lose half my health. So I've had a lot of bad luck against me so far. And Hyper Voice here is actually a pretty solid play, and I go to recover back my health, but I hit myself in confusion, so I'm now in a pretty bad spot. And he fake outs me again, so I'm just not in a good spot overall. I can heal some health back though, because I don't get full confused this time. But I lose most of that health because of Hurricane. And my light screen turns are fading. I am now out of light screen turns, and I'm still confused, and I'm at 32%. So, not in a great spot, and he protects Blastoise. He actually protected both just to saw the last turn of Trick Room. I waste my Blood Moon, but I'm able to get off another recover here as Confusion ends. So it actually does work out for me, kind of, because now I'm almost at full again, and I can probably set up Trick Room as well. So Passimian comes back out. I switch in Volbeat because I want to set up my light screen. He crits Muddy Water, which is really annoying, but I'm able to get back up Trick Room. So it's not that bad, all things considered. I can set up light screen again and guaranteed kill Passimian here before he can get off a big attack. Anti-Muddy Waters again, hits both again, and lowers my accuracy. It increases my attack, which is whatever, because Terra Blast is actually based on your higher attacking stat, if you're Terra'd, that is. It's a special attacking move, but once you've Terra'd, it'll use your higher of the two attacking stats. So now that, especially after this Intimidate, I'm at 3 times attack, even though my special attack stat is very high, and Porygon 2 is a special attacker, and I'm running minimum attack, pretty much. My attack stat's actually higher here. So, I don't know if I ran 0 IV or not, I can't remember, but either way, it's my attack here is higher, so if I click Terra Blast, I'll be attacking with my physical attack. I have light screen up now as he comes in, so I can feel free to recover back up some HP and go for... he misses both on Muddy Water, which is crazy unlucky. And I get a Struggle Bug off, lowering both of his special attacks, which is really nice, because plus light screen, I'm really in a good spot. And then he misses Hurricane, too. So, all of a sudden, he has really bad luck. He goes for Helping Hand. By the way, another situation where I could have easily clicked Ice Beam into Salamence, but I just don't do it, because I assume he either Protect or Terra or Switch. I don't know why, but I keep just not Ice Beaming the guy that's 4 times weak to Ice. Big mistake on my part. That is a repeated mistake throughout this whole set. But I Terra Blast. I put Blastoise in range of eating its Citrus Berry, and then I let off another Struggle Bug, making the Salamence and Blastoise even weaker. And despite this, despite the fact that Salamence is half special attack and light screen is up, Helping Hand Hurricane actually does kill Volbeat here, but it misses, which is really good for me. And so there's just been crazy luck on both sides. He goes for Double Protect to stall the Trick Room, and so I just recover back because I figure that he's probably going to do this. And I Struggle Bug just in case. And I want to keep Volbeat out because I don't want to have Ursaluna out when Trick Room is not up. So, and I want to set up Light Screen the following turn. So I can pretty comfortably go for Trick Room here. But I go for Encore into... what was Blastoise with his Protect. I explained this more in the video, but basically I thought if he has Meowscarada in the back, he's going to switch out Blastoise. If he has Goldango in the back, he's going to switch out Salamence, because Ice Beam is super effective into Salamence, and Ice Beam is resisted by Blastoise, so I'm probably not going to Ice Beam Blastoise. Plus, if I click Terra Ghost, Terra Blast into Meowscarada, it'll be resisted. So I make the read that he is switching out his Salamence, especially because he's minus two special attack, and it's the one clicking Hurricane for the big damage. So I just make a very aggressive read that he's switching out into Goldango. He thankfully misses Hurricane, which is really nice, but I go for Terra Blast instead of Trick Room here. So not only do I not kill Salamence that I could have OHKO'd with Ice Beam if I wanted to attack, but I also, if I don't want to attack it, I want to set up Trick Room, which is probably the better turn. I could do that and not have to predict anything. The only prediction is Volbeat going for Encore. Probably should have Encored Salamence in retrospect, but I mean, that was just kind of a 50-50 that I got wrong. The real problem was just Porygon 2 going for Terra Blast there. It was not a great turn. Light Screen wears out, so I just go for Light Screen again. And he knockoffs, which does quite a bit, actually. And he can not quite kill Volbeat, because I got him back down to that -2 special attack. But I can set up Trick Room again, which is really nice for me. I can recover, get my health back up, weaken Salamence one more time, get a little bit of chip on Meowscarada to break Sash if it has it, and then I die. But that's actually good for me because I'm able to get Ursaluna back in. No, even though I take all this damage, doesn't really matter because Ursaluna's back in. And I could very easily kill both with just Hyper Voice Terra Blast. So that's what I do. He switches out, which is just delaying it by a turn. Which also kind of lets me know that Meowscarada probably doesn't have Protect, because he probably would have clicked that and stayed in if he could have. But here I can just wrap things up pretty easily with Hyper Voice and Terra Blast. Yeah, so that game felt like I was a little shaky just because I got very lucky at a lot of points and very unlucky at a lot of points, especially with that turn 1 crit. I was playing a 3v4 all game, but I got very lucky in like the fact he missed 3 Hurricanes in a row, and I got an accuracy drop, but it didn't affect me all game, so that was like another good moment for me. So it was just like very unlucky for me and very lucky for me at different points. It did not exactly fill me with confidence, though, for Game 2. So, coming into Game 2, I wanted to mix up the strategy. This was always my plan. My plan was to fake out, like, Tailwind and go for Trick Room Game 1. And Game 2 was to go for Tailwind. And Game 3 was to go hard Trick Room. I should have probably not had such a hard and fast, like, rule for that. I should have realistically gone hard Trick Room like Game 2 after it worked so well turn 1, especially like knowing that I have Redirection and can Terra Sinistra. That was probably a little bit smarter. But yeah, I go for kind of a fast-paced attack, and in this situation, I want to probably Tailwind and Raging Bull into Goldigo, though that's a pretty obvious play. So he might, I could be attacking to Protect here. I could be attacking to a Switch here. And I forgot he has Fake Out. So he just fakes out Tauros. I set up Light Screen, actually, because I think maybe I was aware of Fake Out. And so because of that, I set up Light Screen so that I'll live this Golden Go Make It Rain. And it still does so much. This is with Light Screen. So this lets me know that this guy is either, we see he doesn't take any damage after the attack. So he's either Specs or Metal Coat. And the fact that Berserker's next to him gives him a Specs boost on top of what he already has. So it pretty much cancels out the Light Screen. So yeah, it just does so much damage to both. Especially poor Volbeat here is at a quarter of his health. But it was resisted by Tauros, and he's still below half. So that's really bad for me. He switches out, and I actually burn Berserker here because I figure he's probably not going to keep Golden Go on the field. He got off that big attack. He's probably not letting that happen. So I burn Berserker here because I expect... it's not like I'm not hard reading a Switch, and so I don't Will-O-Wisp the Passimian as it comes in. But I do go for it into the Berserker. And I Struggle Bug instead of Tailwinding here, just in case he stays in, so Golden Go will be weaker. But because he goes into Passimian, that actually doubles his attack. So that's really bad for me. Even though I have Berserker Burn, it's still pretty bad. He switches out into Golden Go. I Tailwind, which is a pretty good move. And I Close Combat here. Maybe because I knew I didn't live a Will-O-Wisp. Even if I Wisped him, I would still die. To a Close Combat. That's probably why I did that. I probably should have just Raging Bulled into the Berserker slot, because even with a Switch, that does a lot of damage into Golden Go or Berserker. But he U-turns, actually, which picks up the kill and sends him back out into Berserker. And now I'm kind of in a weird spot again. I have to send out my Samurott pretty much because it's my one other Fastamon. So now I have like a pretty kind of safe in theory, turn of just like kind of doubling Golden Go, we can let one of them get fake outed. But instead, or actually no, but I do go for that play, but it doesn't actually pick up the kill like I thought it did. So Make It Rain comes out and does another big attack. Samurai actually takes that pretty well, which is surprising considering the fact that I think he's more physically bulky, and the fact that he's not AV, actually, he's Life Orb. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Also, Porygon copies Steely Spirit, which is weird, because I swore, actually, maybe it just always copies them on like the left. I thought it copied like the Mon on the opposite side, but maybe it's just the one on the left. I'm not quite sure. That's something I should know though if I decide to run Trace in the future. In this position, I assume Golden Go's probably switching out here just because he's like really crippled or protecting. Though I don't know if he specs or not yet because he's been doing a lot of damage. But I decided to Terra Ghost Terra Blast into Golden Go and go for either, I think, a Focus Energy here, or I go for Sacred Sword, which picks up the kill, which is really nice. But I Terra Blast, which is just a big mistake because now I've already committed my Terra, and guess what? He sends out a Dark type in front of my Ghost type. I would have been fine before, because he would have hit neutrally into me. But because I Terra'd, I'm now in a bad spot. I can Terra Blast, but if he switches to Bassimian, then Golden Go can come in at full HP, and I'm just kind of screwed. He can also just Flower Trick into Samurott, theoretically, and Shadow Ball, and then he's in a great spot too. So I'm just in a bad spot in a lot of ways. He goes for Terra Fairy too. My Aqua Cut, go for Aqua Cutter to try and pick up the kill, which does work, just so I can outspeed, because Golden Go outspeeds my Tailwind, or my Porygon 2 in Tailwind if he's max speed. So I go for the attack into that slot. And then he knockoffs and crits and does 98%. So at this point, I have Eviolite, and it still does 98%, which just does a lot of damage. And that's really, really unfortunate for me, because I would not have taken nearly that much if I hadn't gone for Terra the turn before. So it's just something that I'm mad at myself about. And I Ice Beam. So for the first time, I reveal Ice Beam in a situation where it's actually bad for me to go for Ice Beam. Because I could have clicked it in front of this Salamence that didn't Terra. And then I go for the one time I click Ice Beam, he Terras into Fairy. So it's a big mistake on my part. And I lose Tailwind, so it's just game over very easily. Setting up Trick Room also was definitely the play. If I had set up Trick Room at this spot, he can, let's say I'm at 2%, right? Porygon at 2%, Samurott is at 35, and I get Trick Room up, and he only has these two mons. I can actually kill both here. I can Aqua Cutter into Meowscarada and Terra Blast into Golden Go, and I actually win. I think I do win on the spot by doing that. But yeah, it is a little bit rough. The fact that I don't go for Trick Room there, like I didn't go for Trick Room turn 1, actually ends up losing me the game this time, and he's able to very, very easily just pick up the kills here. Make It Rain is a good move because you don't want to reveal if you have Shadow Ball or not. Theoretically, you might not have Shadow Ball. And Flower Trick, every Meowscarada runs Flower Trick, so going for that is not crazy at all, and it's probably the only thing that kills Samurott at that HP. So yeah, it's just a very easy way for him to win at the end because I didn't click Trick Room. Again, I think if I win if I click Trick Room there. So that's really unfortunate. But you gotta live and learn. Game 3, I am committed to doing my hard Trick Room because I didn't click Trick Room game. First of all, it was already my strategy. Second of all, the fact that I didn't click Trick Room and that's the reason I lost makes me even more convinced that Trick Room is the right answer. So I lead Sinistra P2. Both of these guys are running Trick Room, by the way. So the goal is to try and force them to make a read. I also, unfortunately, copy Intimidate, not Defiant. Meaning, instead of having a +1 Porygon 2, he has a +1 Passimian. So I don't realize this at the time, but Passimian now actually OHKOs Sinistra, I believe. I Rage Powder, and it wouldn't have killed if you weren't +1. Being +1 and getting a crit is like the same thing, pretty much. Like it's the same as if he crit me again, and just OHKOs my Sinistra immediately. Sinistra just did nothing this set, and he gets off the Hurricane. I get a Trick Room, right? So it's not all bad, but I'm facing a +1 Passimian, -1 Salamence, which doesn't matter because he's a special attacker, and a P2. So it's just I'm already at a 3v4 again, and I have not done a lick of damage to him. He has done a third of my health and killed a Pokemon. So now Volbeat comes in. Here is a huge mistake. I send out Volbeat because I left behind Ursaluna, I believe. I don't know what I was thinking leaving behind Ursaluna. If I'm going for hard, I know I'm going hard Trick Room, and I leave behind my slowest and strongest Pokemon. So I don't know what I'm doing. I think I just know that Volbeat is really good in this matchup, and because it was good game 1, but Ursaluna was 100% the bring here. I have Ursaluna in the back. I just go for Hyper Voice or maybe Blood Moon Passimian. I can either double up the Passimian and get the kill, or Ice Beam the Salamence and get off a big attack in a Passimian. There's just like a lot I could do here if I had Ursaluna, but I don't. And not only do I have a Samurott in the back, I believe, but I don't even send him out. I send up Volbeat because I really want my Light Screen up, I think, is the thought process. So I set up Light Screen, do Terra Blast, which does a good bit, but he Hurricanes, gets rid of most of my health, and then Knockoff gets rid of most of my health again, and my Eviolite. So I'm in a terrible spot. I have Samurott in the back, and I have dealt 64% to him total. So I'm just in a really, really bad spot already. Thankfully, he switches out, but I click Terra Blast, and I don't Terra here. If I had Terra'd, this would have been a great play, and I did not. Or if I had Ice Beam Salamence, this also would have been a great play because I Struggle Bug lowers Golden Go special attack. But I don't do either of those things, so instead I just do nothing into Golden Go and lose my Porygon 2, which is really bad for me. And now... Oh, also, I thought I clicked... Oh, maybe I meant to click Recover, get my health back up. And then I would have lived the Hurricane because I put it at -1 and I have Light Screen up. So I think I was going for Recover on Porygon 2, but I misclicked. And that is really unfortunate because, again, I would have been in a situation where I can threaten an OHKO on both if I Terra Ghost or if I Ice Beam, and so I'm able to probably get a free Recover off if I want, if they go for Double Protect, or I'm just in a much better situation. But it ends up not happening. So now it's a 2v4. Again, I have done almost no damage this game, and I have a Pokemon at 22 health, so I'm just in a really, really bad spot. He does go for Protect on Golden Go. I go for Focus Energy, which is my whole strategy with Samurott, is Focus Energy plus Aqua Cutter and Night Slash, which both have +1 crit ratio, and the fact that I have Focus Energy, which gives me +2 crit ratio. How crit ratio or crit stages work: +1 is 25% crit chance on all moves, or normally it's like a 1 in 32 chance. Like with 0, but with +1 it's 25, +2 is 50, +3 is 100%. So if you can get to +3 in any way, then you'll always crit. And both of those moves have high critical hit ratio, meaning they're automatically at +1. Focus Energy gives you +2, so those two moves always crit, which ignore any Intimidates from Salamence, which is really nice. And it just does so much more damage, so I can guaranteed pick up kills that are neutral, which is just really, really good for me. So, I'm actually not, like, Samurott's actually setting himself up pretty well here, and I can weaken Salamence, but I just died to a Hurricane, so that's exactly what happens. And now he has 3 Mons at full HP and 1 Mon at below half, and I have 1 turn of Trick Room left, right? So I kill a Golden Go because he's half special attack Salamence in light screen. I figure Golden Go is the bigger threat here, and he can't protect. So I go for Night Slash. He Dracos, which is a quarter of my health, but now Salamence is -5. So Salamence like has to switch out now. The only problem is he has Passimian, who's a fighting type, and I'm a dark type. So I haven't actually Terra'd yet, so I'm pretty much forced to Terra here in front of it. But he can still do a lot of damage. Oh wait, he just still kills because he's banded. So yeah, the moral of the story is that game 2 was very easily winnable if I had Trick Room. Game 3, I just played very poorly overall. I lost so many assets right away, and then I just lost instantly. Also, it's Soup. I think you're wrong. I'm pretty sure it's. I thought it was 1 in 32. Maybe it's not for base crit chance, but it's not 1/8, 1/4. It's 25. I'm pretty sure it's 25, and then it's definitely half because I used to run crit Togekiss, like crit kiss back in the day of Sword and Shield. So, but yeah, it's not 8/4. Yeah, so I played pretty poorly. Game 3, I didn't even have an excuse in the chat about game 3, but I definitely did sell game 2, which is really frustrating. But yeah, this was a set of just terrible luck for one of us, and then terrible luck for the other one of us, just back and forth. Like, I have never seen so much RNG in a week 1 game. It's crazy. But let's move on to Soup for Sale versus Dormasuda. Just looking at these teams, they both look so weird. We have Morgrem, right, who's just Walmart Grimmsnarl. And don't get me wrong, Grimmsnarl is an amazing Pokemon, but Morgrem is just a worse version of it. So it's still very good, but it's not quite there, and its bulk isn't great enough to like run Eviolite. It probably is running Eviolite, but like it's one of those mons where it's like, do you run Eviolite or do you run Sash just because you don't have that much bulk anyways. Also, we see a Cranidos Spring from Soup, which is hilarious, and Granbull, and Hydrapple. So we have like 3 low point mons, and Polygon's kind of like a mid-tier mon. He's really not bringing kind of like all of like the gunners like you might expect, where Dormasuda is bringing kind of a lot of his top mons. Dragapult and Intin are obviously S and A+ respectively, and then we have Rotom and Corv. I both believe are B, though Corv might be A. And Morgrem. Oh yeah, Corv is A. Rotom and Morgrem are B, and Stonejoner's either C or D. So like he's hit 5 of his top 5 mons, whereas Soup is using 2, maybe 3. So that is a little bit of a difference here. You can see that they both do have 2 mons Terraband. I tried to build my team with only 1 mon Terraband, but there are, like, having 2 mon Terraband is not necessarily that bad because you get guaranteed an A+ mon, and getting access to like a Ferrograph to pair next to your Dragonite means like Ferrograph just shuts down so much of what Morgrem and Incineroar wants to do here. I thought this matchup was actually pretty good for Soup just on paper, because if you can survive the Dragonite, like Dragonite's a problem for your, or Dragapult's a big problem for your Dragonite. Other than that, like Corv kind of is too, but not really anyone else. And Dragonite is a big problem. Ferrograph is really great into your opposing team. I actually think Hydrapple was a good bring here, just because, especially like in Trick Room, which Frig can set up, it's great into Dragapult, right, with Fickle Beam. It's great into Rotom Wash. It's great into Stunjourner. I think it's a pretty good bring overall. And Granbull's pretty funny, just because you get the Intimidate if it's not Clear Body Dragapult, which it almost always would be. You get Intimidate on Insane, which is physical attacker. Stunjourner, which generally is. Corv generally is. Almost always is. And then you also get Fairy coverage, which is mainly good for Dragapult. But I think this is this is one of those matchups where I thought it was kind of leaning Soup's side, but it's hard to say just on paper. And these are two newcomers to ODL, so we have never seen either of them play before. I was very curious to see kind of what happened, and we see most of these Terra types are usual. I think the only unusual thing is like kind of Terra Dark on Corv. Maybe there's a Prankstermon on Super Team that I'm forgetting about. It's just because he wants to be immune to taunt. And then also, yeah, Soup also said that he ran the Yachi Berry on Hydrapple because he was expecting a Cryogonal Bring, which makes sense, honestly. Cryogonal's great into two of your mons that are 4 times weak to ice, one of which can't even Terra. So Cryogonal would be pretty good in this matchup overall. Cranidos would actually be a great counter to it, funny enough. But yeah, otherwise, like, Terra Steel's just, like, by far the most popular Terra type on Hydrapple. And, like, Terra Ghost to be immune to Fake Out. Maybe Fake Out. I'm not sure. But yeah, pretty kind of standard stuff. A lead of Empoleon Friggraph is pretty fun. I think Friggraph has to be in your lead pretty much because you're probably going to be clicking Trick Room, and you want to just you don't even want to risk anything of like a knockoff or coming into like a stray Friggraph switch in. Like that's a mind game you can play, like will I or won't I switch in Friggraph, but this is a pretty fair. I think he's a good lead because you probably want to just click that. Anyways, so Instinct can probably get a knockoff into it, but it'll probably survive the turn, get up Trick Room. And Empoleon's great here because competitive. Yes, I was just about to say that. Incineroar's Intimidate means that Empoleon gets a double special attack for free. So Ice Beam just kills Dragapult instantly. Any water type move kills Incineroar instantly. Empoleon is now just a major threat. And you have access to Trick Room, so you can make it the fastest thing on the field. Unless Incin's min speed and speed dies, but like... it also... sorry, it's Adrenaline Orb. So maybe we're not going for Trick Room here because we have +1 speed Empoleon. I assume this was calced to... calced is short for calculated, by the way. But I assume this was calced so that Empoleon, that +1 speed, outspeeds Dragapult. That's what I assume, so that it can threaten it. And Dragapult, again, can't Terra, which is really important here. So we'll see what they go for. It is not faster, actually. So a Dragapult gets a free U-turn into Stonejourner, which powers up Incin's attack, meaning knockoff will actually kill Friggraph here. It is, in fact, an Ice Beam in that slot, but Empoleon is not faster. I don't think Empoleon... Empoleon can't be faster than max speed Dragapult. Maybe he was assuming it was slower Dragapult. I'm not quite sure. But either way, Stonejourner does go down to Sash, actually, which is really nice. And Knockoff comes out into the Empoleon instead, which already lost its item. So, I'm not sure. Maybe he just wanted Trick Room to go up because he's bringing out Stonejourner and has, like, Corviknight in the back as his fourth. Maybe he thought Friggraph would protect, or, like, there's a chance of it protecting, so you don't want to double up into it. I think the knockoff U-turn is a pretty safe play. You kill Friggraph. I mean, you don't get any damage off an Empoleon, but knockoff on a mon that doesn't have an item doesn't do a ton, as we see. It does under half. I think U-turn from the probably banned Dragonite, and knockoff will always kill Frigg here. So there's no reason to go for that. Plus, you learn what Frigg's item is. We've already revealed Empoleon's item, so that information can be nice. But Trick Room does go up here, and we see that Incin is actually probably min speed here. I would assume Frigg is min speed. It's hard to say. So that's kind of like the indicator because Empoleon is already +1 speed, so he's kind of out of the speed tie equation. But if Frigg is in fact min speed, then Incin is as well. So Soup can tell based on his Frigg speed, is Incin faster or slower, probably, or sorry, faster or same speed. But he's able to get up the kill on Stonejourner. Stonejourner, again, we also probably assume is min speed. unless he's going for like rock polish. Like theoretically, he could be faster for whatever reason, but if from not knowing Frigg's speed, you can tell that it's probably this ensign is probably either min speed or close to it, depending on what Frigg is. And we learned that Frigg is maybe not min speed, hard to say. Gets the special attack boost from the throat spray, which again it would not have gotten or been able to do that damage if it was dead. But Cranidos comes in here actually, and it is in fact Corv in the back, so that leads me to think that Tormasuda kind of wanted Trick Room to come up, or was okay with it at least, because you have Corv, and Corv can is a slower mon generally, so at least Empoleon is not a problem anymore. And Empoleon, it hits Corv for neutral, but with ×2 special attack, it hits really hard actually. So I assume that Cranidos is coming in to Rock Slide or Head Smash, one of the two, and just like get off a big attack, maybe probably Sash, or like Choice Band or something, just to help with the damage. But yeah, just get off a big damage and then help out. It's Terra Water on Ensign, and holy smokes, Cranidos Head Smashes into Corv and does 92%. It loses half its health in the process. But because of that, Frigg is able to pick up the kill. If this Corv is going for Rooster, trying to get off a kill with like body press and Cranidos or whatever, it's just dead now. And Ensign is down to 23, so it's lost meaningful. I mean, it took 40% from that. It's lost meaningful health. Though it has Citrus Berry, so it is back up to half. And we learned that it is in fact Choice Band. That damage looked banded, but we confirmed that it is Choice Band from the knockoff there. And Hydrapple has to come in here because... another note, Incineroar is actually not allowed to Terra here. That's why this chat was sent. Because it is an A+ tier mon, it is not able... Also, Charcoal, it might have roosted up full because it was not faster than either mon, so it might have anticipated a damage and then gone for a roost. So roost was not unrealistic there. But Dormasuda goes for Terra Water on Incineroar, which is not allowed to do, but also actually, funny enough, makes it more vulnerable to Hydrapple, which is kind of funny. So it goes for Terra Water, and Dragapult does come out, which means Hydrapple is going to Terra Steel, just in case it doesn't kill, would be my guess. And it probably didn't kill. Maybe the Fickle Beam got the 30% chance to do double damage. That's what I expect. Because that is... Or maybe it's just Specs or a very, very strong attacker, because that did a lot of damage. Parting Shot comes out, which doesn't do a ton. And Psychic is able to kill because this thing is now Terra Water. So, normally, we wouldn't expect... or we would allow for the opponent of whoever terrored illegally to redo if they wish, but they won anyways, so it actually wasn't a big deal. It didn't end up affecting anything here. So I think it could have been a problem maybe, but thankfully it was not at all. And so yeah, let's move on to game 2. And I love that Cranidos was brought and actually did something here. That was awesome. Morgrem lead, which is interesting because we just saw Frigg lead. So it's pretty funny that he leads, or maybe pretty ballsy that he leads Morgrem. And immediate switch into Hydrapple here to tank the fake out into Empoleon. And then a Will-O-Wisp on Dragonite is crazy because Dragonite's now in a worse spot. But this leads me to believe that Hydrapple is Scope Lens or Razor Claw, because he gets a Dragon Cheer boost from Dragonite. That was you get a free +2 crit ratio on Hydrapple this turn. You do lose your Dragonite. Dragonite's damage pretty much entirely just because it's burned. But it could be worthwhile. It's hard to say at this point. Switch out into Friggraph makes sense. You probably want to set up Trick Room. Terra Steel also kind of makes sense because you might be expecting like a Spirit Break from Morgrim if it gets it, or whatever fairy type attack. I'm not sure what that means. It's supposed to be lens with ice with Yachi Berry. Which one was it meant to be? But Terra Steel is like fine here. And the parting shot is actually denied, which is hilarious. Because Friggraph comes out. And then Volt Switch does a little bit into Hydrapple, putting it 3/4. And Dragapult comes out. And Hydrapple's able to get off a Leaf Storm, which does a lot of damage because of the crit. And Leaf Storm with the Dragon Cheer is a great combo because Hydrapple can Leaf Storm as many times as it wants and not have to worry about the special attack being dropped because crits ignore your stat changes and your opponent's stat changes as well. So or your negative stat changes, I guess. So you being half special attack does not actually negatively affect you at all. So you can feel free to click it as many times as you want. It's really good. A Protect Trick Room here makes a lot of sense. Light Screen comes up, which is good. And then a Phantom Force from Dragapult is a little interesting because it disappears and you can only assume it's going into the Hydrapple because I don't know why you would click that and do a Friggraph that's immune to it, like expecting a switch, but because it's not like anticipating a switch because it's your opponent can see that you go for it. So like, why would you switch out Friggraph here? So it's almost definitely into the Hydrapple slot. Then we see a switch out just to power up that Phantom Force. I would assume it's banded Dragonite. So it's banded Phantom Force plus Power Spot. This thing's going to do a lot of damage. Leaf Storm actually puts Stone Donor down to Sash. That was a solid attack. And then Hyper Voice picks up the kill, so it's no longer Power Spot Dragapult. And it goes for Phantom Force, and it doesn't kill. And that's probably because Power Spot went down. If Power Spot were up, I don't think it would have killed. So that was that turn worked out very well for Soup. Now we have a Mon at a quarter HP, but it has a crit boost, can click Leaf Storm as many times as it wants, and is very slow in Trick Room. And you have a +1 Friggraph, who's also very slow in Trick Room, versus a third of health, or Dragapult with a third of its health, Morgrim, which can't do anything in front of Friggraph pretty much. We've already seen 3 of its moves, and 2 of them don't do anything against Friggraph. 1 of them doesn't do anything because Light Screen's already up. And then Rotom. So Rotom is definitely coming in here. And it's going to do what it can, but this is where Soup not running the scope lens or Razor Claw was a huge mistake because here a crit would have easily killed Rotom Wash, I'm sure. It would have easily killed. But instead, it's just a -4 Leaf Storm, which, even though it's super effective, it does not do anything because you're -4, you know? And the fact that it's not a crit, so it's just a huge, huge difference between a crit and not a crit. It would have easily OHKO'd Rotom, I'm almost guaranteed, or I'm almost positive. But instead, it does almost nothing. So Dragapult is able to go down to a Psychic, but Rotom is able to get a free switch and a little bit of chip. Doesn't actually do a whole lot, though. It should be very easily over. Leaf Storm comes out and does not crit again, meaning he hits the 2 50/50s to not crit back to back. And then Hyper Voice comes out and almost finishes off the Rotom, who heals back up with Wiki Berry, which is great because you learn his item, just in case you theoretically lose this game, which there's no way you lose realistically. But it's game over here. He goes for Fake Out, and probably because he couldn't really do anything else, just kind of wasting his turn. Morgrim literally cannot do anything in front of Friggraph here, which shows a little bit of a lack of prep because against an opposing Friggraph, you don't want a Pokemon that can literally do nothing in front of it, besides set up screens. Then once it's set up screens, it's literally useless. That's not quite ideal. And then Leaf Storm comes out, finally gets a crit when it doesn't really matter that much. Oh yeah, in Calc's soup changed to Yachi Berry instead of Wide Lens when Wide Lens would have been better, and maybe not Wide, sorry, Scope Lens, sorry. Scope Lens would have been given guaranteed crits. It's kind of like the same idea as the Samurott that I was running. You have +2 once you get the critical hit boost, and you already have +1 on top of that, meaning you always crit. But without it, you only have a 50% crit chance. So it kind of worked against him here, but it didn't end up mattering. Morgrim doesn't quite go down, but it can't do anything. So it's just going to go down here. I mean, Dormasuda also forfeited, which you're not allowed to do just for differential purposes, but he couldn't do anything here anyways. Since Hydrapple was faster in Trick Room, it would have picked up the kill. For stat purposes, we say Hydrapple got the kill, but it's quite annoying just to have like a Mon that can't do anything at all. So it's I think it showed like a little bit of a lack of prep on Dormasuda's part. Just wasn't prepared for Friggraff, and it's not like Friggraff, it's like some obscure Mon. We're talking about an A+ tier Mon, right? So this is one of the first Mons you see on the team sheet. One of the first Mons you're like, okay, this guy denies all my priority, and I have 2 Mons built around priority with, or not built around, but instant fake out is a huge part of it. And switching in and out, like fake out is a big part of what makes it good. Morgrim, Prankster's really just the only thing that makes it good. But without kind of that prep for Friggraff, it feels like the Morgrim was a pretty bad bring here. Especially just like you can bring him, but maybe don't, or you can have him on the team as 6, maybe don't bring him. But yeah, it was kind of a very dominant, well-played game by Soup. I think that one little mistake of forgetting Scope Lens didn't end up mattering too much. It could have mattered in another world, but yeah, he played pretty well for the most part. That was pretty impressive from someone who's making their debut in the ODL. All right, so moving on to two more people making their debut, I believe, in the ODL. We have Alberto and Pilza. I'm going to watch from Pilza's perspective because I'm rooting for him. But yeah, we have 2 kind of interesting teams here. We have a very kind of fast hyper offense team on Alberto's side, and a kind of more unorthodox Trick Room team on Pilza's side. The Ninetales and Frostess are a great duo. Frostess and Tauros are a great duo. Talonflame and Tauros, and Talonflame and Sneasler, all great duos. And Golurk is a great answer into the Trick Room by Pilza. And then Pilza, on the other hand, has a lot of great Mons. Altaria can deny the snow from Ninetales and stop Aurora Veil. Clefairy's great at helping Volcarona and King Gambit set up with redirection. Volcarona also has redirection of its own. Shiftry's great in case he goes for Tailwind because of the Wind Rider ability, so it gets an attack increase on top of that. And it's immune to Heat Wave, which is kind of nice. And Mimikyu can set up a free Trick Room almost always, so that's really nice. We see a Ninetales Sneasler versus Mimikyu Volklead, which is pretty interesting because it's almost always going to be AV set up and then like big attack. You have 2 very fast Mons here, and you have a slow on the other side. You have a slow Mon that's almost always going for Trick Room turn 1, and a Mon that can redirect if he wants to. We also revealed Air Balloon Sneasler, which is very unusual. Maybe that's for Earthquake Altaria. I'm not sure what else that would be for. Maybe Pilza had another Mon that wasn't brought. That's probably what it was, another Mon that wasn't brought. That would have been good. So a fake out into Volcarona is solid, but we reveal that it's Covert Cloak, which is great because it gets off big damage into Ninetales and gets a special attack boost, and Trick Room comes up, though AV does go up, in fact. Will-O-Wisp into Caesar is great because it has his attack, but it misses, which is really, really unfortunate. Fire Dance picks up the kill, and Volcarona gets another special attack boost, but Sneasler is able to do 58% without that burn. It gets burned anyways, which is really good, but Volk took way more damage there than it wanted to take, which is really annoying. Also, yeah, good shout by Charcoal in the chat that Sneasler's balloon is probably for Golurk. We might see that come into play soon, potentially. Talonflame comes out, actually, which is interesting because it almost always goes for Tailwind, and there's 3 turns to Trick Room, so which is a lot. But probably just to get some damage off into Volcarona would be my guess. And, yeah, it does have priority. I forgot about that. It has Gale Wings, which gives flying-type moves priority when at full HP. So it can outspeed Volcarona and kill, which is really nice. Meaning I can move before Mimikyu, which goes for Play Rough, does around half of Sneaser's health. And Caesar in turn busts Mimikyu's disguise, and he gets a poison, which is whatever. It means he can't be slept or parried, which is not that bad. I think King Gambit comes out. King Gambit here, I helped Pilza with some prep, and I didn't notice that his King Gambit wasn't running Kowtow Cleave. So that's on me. I should have told him, hey, you always have to run Kowtow King Gambit, or a Dark move on King Gambit at least. So here, instead of going for a big Kowtow and Talonflame, it doesn't really have a ton of great options. So Talonflame protects. It goes for Iron Head, which is, I think, its strongest move. It also has Zen Headbutt, so that could kill Sneasler or Talonflame. But then it goes for Play Rough into Sneasler, which is this is crazy, but it lives. So we saw Play Rough already do 46%. If it did 46% again, it'd be okay. But this is like a classic like Pokemon Deception moment where you go high roll into low roll. So he did more damage than usual with Play Rough and less the first time, and then less damage with Play Rough the second time. Means Caesar lives and gets a free close combat in the King Gambit, who has to first of all reveal the fact that it's Choppleberry, which is the fighting resist berry, because that's a 4x weakness. It has to reveal that, and it still takes 40%. So that's really bad for Pilza, even though Caesar does die to burn here. So now it's Talonflame and whoever, Golurk versus Mimikyu and Gambit. Gambit protects here and goes for Earthquake, which should almost kills Mimikyu, who is able to burn Golurk in turn. And Gambit protects itself from Will-O-Wisp, which is nice, but Trick Room ends here. And Gambit is slower, obviously. So we have Golurk, who can't take too much damage from either of these two Pokemon. It can't do a ton of damage because it's burned, but it can do a little bit, probably enough to kill Gambit in a few turns. And Talonflame can burn either of these mons, so not looking very good for Pilza at this point. But Will-O-Wisp misses, which is really nice. Dynamic Punch also Gambit lives, though it gets confused, because that's a feature of Dynamic Punch, it always confuses. Brave Bird only does 27%, which is not a lot. I think Gambit hits itself with Confusion, which is just really rough. It dies to Brave Bird, and then Altaria here can't really do anything. Takes a crit from Stone Edge, which is rough, and does a little bit to Talonflame, but not enough. It Terra Steals here to live the Brave Bird, but he actually... in the Stone Edge, actually. And Talonflame actually goes down. So he helps us differential slightly, which is kind of good. But Earthquake is able to end that game very quickly, and it was already pretty much over before that point. So moving on to game 2, Pilza definitely needs to kind of adapt here. The Trick Room is good, but you want to make the most of your Trick Room, which is something he definitely wasn't doing before. It's a Frost/Tauros lead, which is pretty kind of traditional for like, all right, you Frost Breath the Tauros, get it to max attack, and then it's able to kind of do a ton of damage. I think it gets Aqua Jet too because it's a water type. I'm not quite sure, but either way, it just becomes a huge menace, a problem. So Follow Me is a good way of redirecting that, but Frostlass then again might be going for like Will-O-Wisp, might be going for whatever. So hard to say. He does go for Follow Me, in fact, and it's a triple axle, which does just under half, and it's respectable damage. And then Raging Bull on top of that puts Clefairy at 20%, which is not great health. But you get a free Trick Room, so you're not in a bad spot here, especially because Mimikyu has Swords Dance. You can Follow Me again and leave Mimikyu in a pretty good spot, or do whatever. Like, I think Mimikyu gets a free attack here. Is the free attack boost here is the point, but instead he goes for Terra Fairy, Play Rough into Tauros, and Follow Me, and Tauros goes for Protect. So the attack and Protect here is really rough because, first of all, you commit your Terra, right, which doesn't do anything in this situation, and second of all, it also makes you weak to Sneasler instead of neutral, but you also don't do any damage, so that's really unfortunate. I think Swords Dance was always the play there, and then Triple Axle comes out into Clefairy and picks up the kill, which is kind of expected, but it's a little unfortunate nonetheless. King Gambit here can Iron Head into Frostlass and do a lot of damage, even though it probably is Sash. Mimikyu here also can probably Swords Dance again, but we see a switch into Ninetales and a switch into Talonflame. So the Zen Headbutt comes out from King Gambit, expecting Tauros to stay in so it can take the Zen Headbutt damage, even though, again, it doesn't make a ton of sense for Tauros to stay in here because we just saw that it would get OHKO'd by a Play Rough from Mimikyu. Hopefully he goes for Swords Dance here. He does, which is actually not that bad. So now we have 2 turns left of Trick Room, and we have a ×2 attack Mimikyu here. He can do a lot of damage into whoever he wants. Protect Ninetales makes a lot of sense. Iron Head into Ninetales makes sense. And then Play Rough does a lot in Talonflame and lowers the attack. And Mimikyu dodges the burn, which is really good. So now, Pills is not even in a bad spot here because you can get off big damage into both of these things. And there's, I said Cybertron all game because of all the Will-O-Wisp missing. He's benefited from a lot of good luck here. So he should be in a pretty decent situation. I mean, Ninetales dies. Another Swords Dance here would have been great, but I understand. Will-O-Wisp makes a lot of sense on Talonflame here. Protect makes more sense, obviously, which was the right play. But if he didn't have Protect, then I think Play Rough is not an unreasonable. If he didn't have Protect, Play Rough would be the right play 100%. So it's not that unreasonable a play by Pilza. And Tauros comes out. Now, one really important thing to consider is that Mimikyu still has its disguise active. So it has ×2 attack, and it can set up Trick Room for free, right? King Gambit here can live a 1 CC because of its Chapel Berry too. So that's all important to consider. Will-O-Wisp goes into Mimikyu and misses again, which is crazy. And then Raging Bull finally breaks the disguise. And it's after a Terra Fire to probably live a Play Rough, which Pilza goes for, which is really rough here because Trick Room would have been so good in this situation. We know that he has 3 fast Pokemon right now, and you have 2 slow Pokemon, but instead Play Rough comes out, and because of the Terra, which is a great Terra here, which saved the Tauros, it does not kill. And actually it's Citrus Berry, so it takes even less from that. And then Zen Headbutt would have killed the Talonflame as well, but he does not go for it, so Talonflame lives. So just kind of 2 mistakes on Pills' part. The Will-O-Wisp finally connects into Gambit. Iron Head kills Talonflame, and Trick Room comes up. It's a little bit too late, but he's not in that bad of a spot. I think in this situation, we know that Play Rough does 50 into Tauros, so we can kill Tauros eventually because it did just protect, I believe, right? Yeah, just protected. So it can't protect again. It's and it can't switch, obviously. So unless he hits the 1 and 3, play rough is always the right play into Tauros here. Just get it down to a quarter of its health. And then Gambit can also Zen Headbutt, and that should kill, realistically. Or I guess maybe it doesn't, because Zen Headbutt only does 13. And play rough goes out into Frost Blast, which OHKOs, and really nice. And you get the flinch on Tauros, which is huge, right? So now we're in a spot where it looks like Pilsa's just going to win, right? We play rough and Zen Headbutt, and it's game over. Play rough misses, though, which is really, really unfortunate, because we know it did 50%. So Tauros would be at 3% here. It does not happen, unfortunately. Mimikyu actually lives, though, which is crazy. So now he's able to stall out a little bit of Trick Room. This is fine. Nothing crazy here. But because he has Aqua Jet on this Tauros, it's able to kill Mimikyu. So I think the play rough miss is really, really bad for Pilsa, and it's just kind of game losing. Though Iron Head comes out. The problem, as we saw, Iron Head crits, and he's running Anger Point Tauros, which maximizes his attack if he's crit. Yeah, maximizes his attack if he's crit. So it's now in a position where it can probably sweep pretty easily, even though Altaria comes out here. He protects Altaria, which is fine just because it lives, and King Gambit dodges, which is really good because it's able to Zen Headbutt. But again, instead of been clicking Zen Headbutts here, King Gambit's been clicking Iron Head, which is really not that good because, as we can see, he actually misses another Rock Slide, which is crazy. But Tauros is now just taking a little bit of chip, and it unfortunately won't do anything. Even though he misses another one, King Gambit gets it down to 10%. But if he had been going for Zen Headbutts this whole time, the game would have already been over. Pilsa would have won, but he does not. He protects just to so it'll take a little more burn chip, and then Aqua Jets for the kill. So just a lot of kind of mistakes on Pilsa's part. Alberto played pretty well, and despite the fact that Pilsa got so lucky, Alberto still won. So it feels a little bit like, even though Alberto won kind of despite the odds, it's maybe not as great in the sense. It's maybe not as great in the sense that there were a lot of moments where Pilsa could have won if he had played better. So it wasn't like Alberto just like kind of played perfectly or outplayed him significantly necessarily. It was a good game by Alberto though, nonetheless. Moving on to Juvie versus Oedipus, I think this is. He has a different name on the dock than on Showdown. Yeah, I believe this is Oedipus's team versus Juvie. We kind of have a hard rain team pretty clearly versus a kind of weird team, including 3 starters. We're going for some pledge strategies here. We have Rillaboom, Drifloon, which is very obvious, kind of like double my speed and click Tailwind for me button. Primarina is great into this rain matchup. So I thought overall that Oedipus did have kind of he was the favorite in my eyes to win this one. But Arcalodon is also stupid, so we will see how it goes. It is an immediate Drifloon Rillaboom lead. Tailwind is probably expected, maybe a Shadow Ball. But yeah, Tailwind comes out. Knockoff puts Gengar down to Sash. Sash Gengar is pretty usual. Sludge Wave is actually pretty cool here because you're next to your Arcalodon. He's immune, and you do a lot of damage into Rillaboom. And then Electroshot he reveals that he's Power Herb, and Electroshot's able to pick up the Oko onto Drifloon, which is really, really a great start for Juvie. First of all, Rillaboom didn't go for Fake Out, which makes sense because you don't want to fake out the guy that gets you don't want to fake out the guy who gets a defense boost every time you hit him. That's not typically great strategy. But I mean, you can. I would have saved a Driflin here, but it's reasonable. But he gets another opportunity if he wants to fake out with Infernape. He also could just CC very easily into Archaludon here. And Gengar is now within range of a Grassy Glide, which is really nice for Rillaboom. So despite the kind of bad start for Oedipus, he's not in that bad of a situation. Gengar protects from a Grassy Glide, which makes sense. And the fake out does come out in Archaludon. A U-turn comes out too, though, which the attack and protect there just kills any momentum for Oedipus, because although CC into Archaludon and Grassy Glide or knockoff U-turn, whatever, into Gengar would have been solid. I think Grassy Glide plus CC was probably my play here. I think this is probably a mistake going for the fake out U-turn, and because of how Juvie played, it was a big mistake, because now Juvie just gets a free defense boost pretty much. Drain Punch comes out instead of CC. Again, does not do that much because of the defense increase, and increase the defense again. Rillaboom is able to kill Gengar. He has Tailwind, so he didn't need the Grassy Glide, I guess. But yeah, now Dragon Pulse comes out and brings Infernape down to Sash. Wow. At only +1 special attack. So this is a max attack Archaludon right here, which is not unusual, but it's just worth noting. Pelipper comes out at one more turn of Tailwind, so it can probably set up Tailwind of its own. Grassy Glide does just under half, and Coaching boosts Rillaboom, but Rillaboom dies to Hurricane, so it doesn't do anything, and then Infernape dies to Electroshock. So it's an interesting turn there, but it didn't really work out too well for him, as you can see. And Primarina is a strong Mon, but in the rain, it's in the rain especially, but it just gets outsped and dies. Again, this is another example of an illegal Terra, where Primarina was not allowed to Terra here because it's an A+ tier Mon. It doesn't end up affecting anything though, because water types are so weak to electric, and Water Fairy have the same, are both neutral to, Water Fairy and water types are both neutral to flying type attack, so didn't actually affect anything here. And Primarina wasn't even able to attack, so wasn't a big deal, but just worth noting that it wasn't an illegal Terra. Let's move on to game 2. Curious to see how this is affected, or how their strategies are switched. And Beartic is awesome, by the way. I think Beartic is a really cool Mon, because its speed is doubled in either snow or rain. I actually was looking earlier today of, what Mon do I want to pick up? If I could get a Mon with Frost Breath, that'd be really cool. I know Frostlass is already taken. I don't really want Frostlass, but Beartic would be pretty cool because I can run Rain Dance in my Volbeat and then get a Swift Swim Beartic. But I realized, oh wait, Juvie already has Beartic. Charcoal, great question. What if I make an illegal Terra and it benefits me? Well, your opponent has, I've already explained this, but your opponent has the opportunity to redo the match, or redo the game. So even if you win, you're just gonna redo it. If let's say your opponent makes an illegal Terra and you win still, but they kill like 3 of your Pokemon, or they win pretty handily because of it, you can still, or you win like by barely anything because of it, I guess. You can still replay the match if you wish because your opponent messed up. It's not a great solution. I think it's a pretty solid one, but it's kind of the best we got. Basically, just don't Terra illegally, then we won't have problems. But yeah, anyways, I love Beartic here. He can get off a big attack into Rillaboom, especially because of the Terra Ghost. Wow. And now Icicle Crash. Oh, it misses Rillaboom. That's killer. That's really bad. Hone Claws on Metagross is a crazy move, by the way. Yeah, it just takes 83% from Pelipper. Just, wow. It does not take that very well at all. Hurricane also could have come out into the boom, but I think he expected Icicle Crash to kill, which is completely reasonable. You don't expect that move to miss too often. It's 85% accurate. So that's really unfortunate for Juvie. But he did so much to Metagross, and Metagross just wasted his turn. So he's still in a good spot. Astral Crash does in fact KO, and Weather Ball can also just pick up a KO here. Though it's Explosion Metagross. I forgot that Metagross was faster. So in fact, it is able to take out the Pelipper, meaning no Tailwind. But Beartick's already a Ghost type, so maybe he just thought he wouldn't have another opportunity to go boom with it. Maybe he didn't have any better attacks to use. I don't know. But either way, he only kills Pelipper. Not a great use of it. Typically, in double battles at least, if you're clicking Explosion, you want to kill both or do meaningful damage to both. You don't want to only kill one. In singles, obviously, you can only kill one max. So the boom lead's not, like, that's fine there. But you don't typically want to only kill one in doubles with Explosion. Oh, whoops. So, yeah, he goes boom. And then Archaludon and Primarina and Drifloon come out. So now we're down to the last two. Drifloon gets a speed boost. But it could be too little too late because Archaludon does have that Electric Terra here. He Terra Waters on Primarina again illegally, which kind of sucks that he made the mistake twice in back-to-back games. Drifloon actually lives the Icicle Crash because of the defense boost you get from Grassy Seed, which is hilarious. And Hyper Voice picks up the kill on Beartick and does a lot to Archaludon. Probably only picks up the kill because he illegally Terra'd, I would guess, which is really annoying, but it is what it is. Primarina also dies now to Electroshot. And then Gengar comes out. Gengar lives the Shadow Ball, which is crazy, and responds by getting the kill on Drifloon. I say it in chat here, but yeah, don't illegally Terra. It makes our lives a lot more annoying. Kind of screw your opponent, just in differential. So it's like you're not gonna win because you illegally Terra. So, like, I know it's probably just, I assume everyone's doing it out of like lack of experience, and not out of malice. But just try and make sure. I like running Terra Stellar just to try and avoid it. But yeah, double check. And that was a great game by Juvie. I think he played very well. I think Oedipus didn't play great, but it was mainly Juvie playing well. That was really what I think gave him the win there. Yeah, he didn't really make any turn where I was like, ooh, that was a bad turn. I think it was just a very well played game overall, or set. Now we have a Turnum versus TBL, and oh boy, this is an interesting set. We have a hard ring team plus Annihilate, just featuring a Mousehold Annihilate. Plus, there's obviously a Perish Trap mode, or aspect to it at least. Then a Turnum, which is just like a bunch of good mons thrown together. And I can see a vision for sure. I mean, you have a good matchup here, just because Greninja can do a lot of damage, especially in rain. It can do a lot of damage. Kilowattrel is great in rain because of the hurricanes that can hit Ludicolo 100% accurate and Annihilate 100% accurate. We have two guys here, especially Metasham with that pure power, who can do a lot of damage, especially if you like give it to Flygon or something. That can do a lot of damage. So immediate switch out into Annihilate here, and Weather Ball crits and kills. It could be Specs Ludicolo, which I think would kill either way, but the crit might have mattered, which is really unfortunate for a Turnum. We learn actually that it is Life Orb, so maybe the crit didn't matter, but I would assume it did. Hard to say. And then Thunder Wave comes out into Ludicolo, which is not bad for a Turnum. A Turnum is like, obviously you don't want to lose a really powerful Mon right off rip, but you have Kilowattrel. You can click Hurricane into either one of these guys. Espeon, click Thunder Wave again into Annihilate. Not bad at all. And he Terra Electric Thunders, which is interesting. That's not what I would expect. I would expect Hurricane here. I think that makes more sense. Maybe he's not running it, but I doubt Turnum would not run Hurricane into a rain team. I don't know. But he goes for that, maybe covering a switch into Polytoad as well. And then we reveal Kasib Berry, which is the Ghost Resist Berry on Espeon for the Rage Fist. So it only takes 35% actually, because Annihilate has not been boosted at all. I think it's Thunder Waved again. So Asherm's actually not in a bad spot again, despite losing a Pokemon immediately. He's kind of evening things up a little. He can feel free to Thunder Wave again, or just get off big damage. He has probably a Psychic type move into Annihilate too. There's a lot he could do. He goes for Follow Me, which dies to Thunder. The crit, again, maybe matters, hard to say, but holy crits. And then Psyshock does come out and does a lot of damage to Annihilate. He goes for Rage Fist and kills because there's no Resist Berry, and he's got a Rage Fist stack already. Then Politoed versus Flygon. Or Kilowattrel and Flygon. Annihilate here is probably just going to die. He's probably out of the picture. The one unfortunate thing is you can't click Earthquake here because you have a Terra Electric Kilowattrel, which you normally probably want to click to kill Annihilate and Politoed, and you just Thunder the Politoed and you win. But it's whatever. He Protect on Politoed and Thunder, and then he does go for Earthquake, which actually kills Kilowattrel. And so now it's a 1v1 of Politoed versus Flygon, and I don't think Flygon wins this. He protects, and there's a Weather Ball, but it's Terra Grass into the Earthquake, which is a great play by TBL. Maybe he Specs, though. No, he protected. He's not Specs. I don't know why I clicked Weather Ball there out of Weather. Maybe that's his only attacking move. He goes for Earthquake, but he eats the Citrus Berry. And then he goes for Perish Song, and now it's game over because you protect, click whatever, and then protect again, and then it's game over. Superpower Flygon, interesting. Yeah, he should have done that before instead of clicking Weather Ball, just because a crit there looks like it would have killed. Maybe, no, it wouldn't have killed, but it would have been close. And then he can just protect again. And because Perish Song kills an order of speed tier, we'll see that here. Flygon dies first, and then Politoed. So actually, Politoed wins this game, or TBL wins the game because of that. So good on TBL for knowing how Perish Song works and for going for it there. That was definitely the play. I mean, I don't think... you definitely don't lose if you don't Perish Song there, or Ice Beam or Icy Wind, which he pretty clearly didn't have because he would have gone for. Game 2, Eternum wants to switch things up, so he goes Kilowattrel Moongus, probably also expecting a Politoed lead again, just because he's going for Thunder and a Hurricane. And a Moongus is great because it can Spore Annihilate, unless it's Vital Spirit. So maybe you are testing here to see if it's Vital Spirit, or you're Sporing into the partner, or Rage Power, so that Kilowattrel can get off a free attack. It kills with a crit into Annihilate, and this is the third time there's been a very big attack with a crit. I think this one would have killed probably, almost definitely, without, hard to say, maybe if he was very especially bulky he would have lived, but there is a crit nonetheless into the Annihilate, and Polytoad would be able to get off a free Perish Song here actually, which is interesting. He's probably switching into Gothitelle, I would imagine. It is. Also, it is Scarfed Kilowattrel. That must be why he went for Thunder instead of Hurricane game 1. I don't know how he figured that out just now. Maybe because he's also a Scarfed Annihilate. He must be Scarfed Annihilate. I don't know if it was revealed game 1, but yeah. So he goes for Protect and then Fake Out into Kilowattrel here. Flinches the Kilowattrel, and Gothitelle goes to sleep, which is really nice because Gothitelle can't protect now, meaning if you can kill it, you can switch. So you go for Hurricane here, which does a lot, and then Sludge Bomb. It does not quite pick up the kill into Gothitelle, so you're not actually able to switch, and Mousel can just protect here, and you lose both, which is really unfortunate, but it's still a 2v2, and you know who his two are. So this is not that bad for Eternum, honestly. Especially with Medicham. Medicham's great in this endgame. And Espeon. So Medicham can just kill Mousel. I'm not sure why the close combat was there. Maybe because he just thought he could win from Perish Song. But, yeah. I still think that's a mistake. because now you protect. You need to hit a triple protect, honestly. That's the only way you win this. So, maybe he goes for it. Maybe he just doesn't even bother. But he Terra Grasses. Yeah. Close combat kills. It's neutral either way. So, that's unfortunate for TBL. I think that was a mistake. For sure. But, live and learn. Let's move on to Game 3. Game 3s are always hype. So protect on Flygon and Polytoad, actually. And Life Orb Ludicolo just rips an Ice Beam into Kilowattrel and picks up the kill, which is really bad. He was probably expecting an Ice Beam and a Flygon, but this is really bad start for Turnham, right? And now you have 2 Mons weak to Ice in front of a guy that just clicked Ice Beam. That's not the situation you want to be in at all. So Terra Ghost Flygon makes a lot of sense because you're expecting an Ice Beam, which is just 50% still. Superpower crits might have mattered because it's neutral attack. It picks up the kill. And then Spore Annihilate, or Sludge Bomb Annihilate, actually. And gets the poison, meaning it can't be spored. That was, I would assume it's Vital Spirit? Hard to say. Against the Mugies, you probably want to be. Espeon comes out, and Rage Fist goes into that slot and crits, which it had been hit once. That crit probably mattered, I would assume, in terms of getting that kill because Cassiberry. I think without Cassiberry, it doesn't. But yeah, and then Taunt and Mugus means Gothitail's not going to sleep, which really sucks for Tournament. Tournament's just in a really bad spot now. Yeah, Espeon lived without the crit, which is really unfortunate. And then Flygon goes down, and then it's pretty much game over from here. He reveals the Rocky Helmet, meaning Gothitail is actually taking more damage than it's dealing, but doesn't probably end up mattering, I would imagine. Unless the Mungus can stall here, but he can't go for Protect yet. Maybe if he has Protect once Taunt runs out, maybe if he has Protect, Annihilate can go down here to Poison Chip. Yeah, no. If he had Protect, I think maybe he could have won that theoretically. If he had hit the double. But if he either doesn't have it or doesn't go for it, and the crit probably won TBL the game. So yeah, that is unfortunate. And Charcoal confirms that it was Defiant Annihilate actually, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure what the Defiant was for. I mean, I get it powers up Annihilate, but Vital Spirit in front of Mugus makes more sense to me. I don't know. Maybe TBL had another Mon on his team. And then now we have a Charcoal versus Cybon. This is a interesting team because Cybon's team is like, it's just you don't really know what to expect. Like when we have a pretty traditional duo of Galarian, Weezing, Slacking. It's a great duo. Very, very strong. And holy Terra Ghost. Every single Mon that can Terra is a Terra Ghost. Probably just to show Grimmsnarl and Quavel and Ursaluna, hey, you guys have to watch out for us. Any of us can Terra and be immune to you at any given time. Also, Bastia Leech and Clefable is a great duo because of the redirection plus the adaptability. Bastia Leech is able to do crazy damage. And then Tauros is a good, strong Mon, obviously, and Rotom Heat as well. It's a solid, strong team. Charcoal, on the other hand, has the opportunity to outspeed things very easily with Yanmega and Electrode, which is great given the fact that Cybon has literally no speed control. And Thunder Wave from Grimmsnarl on top of that is really nice. So, oh, whoops. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear my desktop audio. Probably not, because we were having problems with that anyways. But, never mind. Yeah, so a very kind of standard lead here from Cybon, just like lead the two strong guys. But a Worry Seed Electrode is great because it gets rid of Weezing's neutralizing gas, and it allows Frisk to come out. So we know it's Shuka Berry, Weezing, and Life Orb Slacking, which is great that we learned that. And then Tailwind comes out for free as well. Double Edge doesn't even kill because of Sash, too. So that was a really great turn one for Charcoal, in my opinion. And Sludge Bomb, actually, sorry, I forgot about that. Sludge Bomb does over half and reveals the Citrus Berry on Electrode as well. Switching to Rotom Heat means it takes almost nothing from the Electro Web. And the Psychic is a little rough, because Psychic and Wheezing would have been great here, but into the Slacking slot is not. Especially because Slacking would have had to burn a Truant turn here, so I don't really expect the attack. Or I would always expect a switch from the Slacking slot here. So Psychic only does 20, which is not great. And then Yanmega dies to D-Gleam, and Electro is pretty low, too. The Dirge comes out, which is nice because you can set up a Torch Song for pretty much free here. But Electrode is like, it's kind of what do you do here? Oh, you Terra Steel, Terra Blast, and you pick up the kill on Wheezing, which is really nice. Though you probably die if there is a Heat Wave, which you were already weak to, so it's realistic that it goes for that. Torch Song also is pretty nice, and then Shadow Ball instead. Shadow Ball does a lot, and Skeletor is now in a spot where it can only do so much. It probably doesn't pick up a kill on the Slacking here, I would assume. Hard to say, though. If it's Protect Slacking, then that's not great because there's Truant. A double Protect here makes a lot of sense for Charcoal, but there's also Tailwind. So I would say you want to make the most of those Tailwind turns. Probably just do as much damage into Slacking as you can. Instead of go for Chloroblast, he must have been expecting a switch into Basket Legion or Terra Ghost. I don't know why else you'd click Chloroblast there, because that actually kills you. Just half your health. It's like a Steel Beam. Just half your health. So Electrode goes down, and Skeletor is able to get off a lot of damage to the Torch Song. It actually kills the Torch Song, which is really nice. But it goes down to a Shadow Ball here. And now it is whatever is in the back versus these two Mons, and it's Ursaluna. And Ursaluna protects here, meaning it can get it burn off, but it won't matter because it can't kill both, and it dies to a close combat. So, that was a really unfortunate kind of second half of that battle for Charcoal. But it is what it is. I think, though, you definitely have to adapt for game 2. Another Electrode lead, I think Grimmsnarl. So Grimmsnarl is really kind of baiting out, hey, I want you to Terra Ghost here so you can be immune to my Fake Out. It's kind of daring you to. Thunder Wave is another great option to Tauros. There's kind of a lot you could do here. Maybe set up you don't want to set up Reflect in front of Raging Bull. But then Electrode is so we can go for Electro Web, lower speed. There's a lot kind of options. Or Switch to Quavel also kind of makes sense. Terra Ghost Tauros is also not unreasonable because of the Fake Out threat. Thunder Wave, it does end up coming out into Tauros, which is great. And the switch into Quavel is really nice here because you resist the attack. Only problem is you still take 40%, which is a lot. That's more than you want to take for sure. And then Raging Bull comes out in the 70. So Cybon's now kind of still very much in the lead, despite that not bad play from Charcoal. The Knockoff comes out and reflects, but Raging Bull's just going to get rid of that Reflect immediately. And Knockoff doesn't even kill. So you're hoping for a full para. Volt Switch also comes out and doesn't quite kill, which is really nice that you live that. But yeah, Reflect goes away and Grimmsnarl dies, and it's kind of like you didn't accomplish anything on that turn, really, other than weakening Tauros a little. But you lose a lot of health in Quavel too, so it's not great. Here, we see a Protect Quavel and a Terra Steel, Terra Blast in the Clefable, which is unfortunate because after the close combat from Electro, it picks up the kill, and Quavel kind of wastes its Protect. I mean, on one hand, it would have died, but on the other hand, it could have done so. And yeah, Charcoal forgetting that Raging Bull gets rid of screens is a little unfortunate because that's kind of its whole. I mean, that's what makes Tauros so good, or part of what makes it so good. Is Intimidate, and 2 other decent abilities, good stats all around, and a signature move that breaks screens. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. You forgot about that. And then Ursaluna comes out and just protects, which means that Quavel will just die to a D-Gleam here. And at this point, it's just an unwinnable battle because Wave Crash picks up the kill on the Ursaluna that can't Terra. So, not a great performance from Charcoal this week. I think Saibon did play well. I'll give him that. But I think this matchup was pretty favorable for Charcoal, in my opinion, or definitely winnable. In mocks with Charcoal, his team was winning frequently because he was playing pretty well. And I thought that Saibon's team couldn't do too much, just given its lack of speed control. Once Charcoal established speed control, he was in a pretty good spot most of the time. But kind of wasn't able to have the upper hand at any point in this battle. So it's only week 1, so definitely don't beat yourself up too much, but it's a little unfortunate. Also, I apologize for this stream going so long. I spent way too long in the first few matchups. That's my bad. Let's move on to the Voids versus SMB, our final matchup. And fun fact, SMB dropped his entire team after the draft besides Riviari, and was able to pick up an entirely Sun-based team. And we'll see that Whimsicott Raichu lead versus Torkoal Braviary is interesting, because it's like, what do you go for here with Torkoal? Probably switch, right, or protect. Instead of switching to Typhlosion, leaving it very vulnerable, and a Rain Dance from Raichu. So no damage into the Torkoal, but they immediately get speed control and change the weather on him. So pretty solid start for Voids, despite the fact he takes a little bit because he's frail. Protect and switch makes a lot of sense. And then a Fake Tears Thunder. Wow, that would have been great into Typhlosion. I'm probably expecting a switch or a protect on Torkoal, but instead it is a Thunder into Gastron. Also, I don't know why it says, why these stats are messed up. It says no questionable type, no ability, 4 to 57 speed. That's just not accurate at all. That's weird that it's like that. But yeah, Thunder has no effect, and so that was not a great turn from Voids. It was a pretty good play by SNB. Then a switch makes a lot of sense. Light Screen coming up is great. I think Grass Knot is a really nice tech on Raichu. I mean, it's not an unusual move by any means, but it's just a good play. Sun comes back out, which Raichu can just kind of correct again immediately if he wants to, which he does. But he goes down into close combat, and Torkoal can still do a lot with Eruption here. Ooh, not a lot, but I guess it's Whimsicott. So Palafin comes out now in Rain, which is really good because you're forcing him to switch into Typhlosion or Protect. Not something he really wants to do with either. Instead, he Terra Normal, Fake Tears, and Boom Bursts, which would have been good if Torkoal was still around and if he weren't Sash Braviary, but he's Sash Braviary. And Bravebird comes up and Okos, which is just really unfortunate for Voids. I think this is a situation where it's just kind of like go for the more traditional play, and going for like the weird play of Terra Normal Boom Burst and revealing that tech right away. It just really works against Voids here. It's not necessarily his fault, but it's rough. Shadow Ball comes out, and then Snarl as well. Snarl kind of makes sense here. Just get off damage and weaken them both, and increase your special attack with Throat Spray. Snarl's a pretty good move there. Shadow Ball comes out again. Snarl comes out again. Weaken them both, but Light Screen's about to run out, and Solar Beam is weird. Maybe that's... Now, Eruption is always a better play. I don't know why he goes for Solar Beam there. Interesting. Maybe he expects a Terra Water. No, it's Terra Steel. Yeah. I don't know. And he already Terra Normaled anyway. Shadow Ball crits and picks up the... Wow. Without that, it still was probably game over, I would imagine. But that's just not how you want to end the game, to a crit. And it would have ended things with a more positive differential from the kill and Typhlosion. So that's a little rough, but it is what it is, and that's the end of game 1. Moving on to game 2. I don't think he would have won until that. I don't think he would have won with that crit, but it's hard to say. Also, thanks for joining us, Sub. We see a Protect on Raichu right away, probably kind of to bait out an attack from Braviary. But instead it's a Blyzrd and a Whimsicott, so great play by SMB. Though, Tailwind is up on Void's side, and to waste the Protect from Gastrodon. So not like a great play. It was a solid play, though. And then Torkoal comes out and Terra Fire on Gastrodon. Though, with the Rain Dance Hurricane, Torkoal is now going to take a lot and gets crit and dies. Wow, that's really rough. Gastrodon Icy Wind lowers the speed and reveals Covert Cloak on Raichu too, which is kind of important. Braviary comes out and immediately switches into Typhlosion just to kind of bait a Thunder. I'm not sure why he did that exactly, because it just dies now. But Weather Ball does a lot, so that's on the bright side. Braviary immediately dies again. And then Snarl comes out, which is interesting. Also reveals the Covert Cloak or a Clear Amulet Gastrodon, which is interesting. Which picks up the kill on Raichu as well. No, it's Leftovers. Why did Snarl... Oh, it's Sheer Force Braviary. It's Sheer Force Braviary. Got you. Hyper Voice comes out. Maybe Voids also forgot that Snarl was not, or was Sheer Forced. That's pretty funny. Hyper Voice comes out and increases that special attack. The Weather Ball is solid, so you are neutral now, and Gastrodon just cannot win this fight. So that wraps things up. And moving on to our final match of the night, we have Voids versus SMB Game 3. Another Whimsicott Raichu lead. And Hitmontop Torkoal this time, so SMB's been mixing it up while Void's kind of going for the same thing. Fake out into Raichu, though it's already Covert Cloak, means he's able to Rain Dance, and Eruption leaves both at just over half, with Tailwind up though. And so that was a miss on SMB's part, not noticing the Cloak. But with the Helping Hand Eruption, I feel like this is an interesting play because... Oh, he goes for Fake Tears and just sets himself up for next turn, I guess. Lets Whimsicott go down here, which is unusual. But Braviary comes out here. He's going to be in a good spot to do a lot of damage into whoever. Raichu goes for Thunder, and I hope, there's an attack into the other slot as well. Leaves him at 6, and then Hitmontop switches out, but it's probably going to eat a Hurricane here, right? Or Thunder. Interesting. I would assume you... Whoa. Red card Hitmontop switches him out, sends out Arcanine, who is also not Intimidate, by the way. It's probably Flash Fire for Torkoal. And then Snarl picks up the kill on Braviary. Wow. Interesting turn. But he's able to get the sun back up, and Raichu's not on the field to change the weather right away. And SMB has Tailwind up, so SMB's actually in a good spot here. Fake out into Arcanine's good. And then Torkoal's able to Eruption and actually outspeed. Wow. I'm surprised at outspeed. It must be a slow Braviary. Or a fast Torkoal. And then Expanding Force picks up the kill, but now Arcanine does have a Fire Boost. Maybe he goes for a Shadow Ball into Arcanine, but it's like, what does Arcanine do here? He protects, and then Shadow Ball into the Braviary, actually. So Arcanine can now Snarl for free, weaken that Typhlosion a little, and get the special attack boost on top of the Flash Fire boost. So Raichu comes out now, and protects. But the Shadow Ball goes into Arcanine, and gets a special defense drop. Wow, that's unfortunate. And the Snarl miss. Wow, things are looking really bad for Voids just because of that RNG. Though, he does successfully stall that last from Tailwind, and is able to get up the Rain Dance, which is nice. Arcanine barely lives. Morning Suns, in the rain he set up. So, this is a huge mistake on Void's part, because in the sun, Morning Sun heals 75%. In the rain, it heals 25%. Out of weather, it heals 50%. But big mistake on his part to go for Morning Sun there and not Snarl, or to go for Rain Dance. I mean, either one of them. Just don't go for both of those things, I guess. And a Will-O-Wisp on Raichu is interesting because it's a special attacker. I think that was also a mistake on SMB's part. Thunder comes out into Typhlosion, who barely lives but gets parried. Another mistake by Arcanine, because a Snarl here would have killed Typhlosion and weakened Torkoal, and I think Void just cleans up the set from there. But instead, Arcanine dies to Shadow Ball because it had another special attack drop, and our Torkoal is able to do a lot of damage, and the burn chip on Raichu means it's just game over. Wow. So, I think that was a pretty rough set for Void, just because he got very unlucky, but it was just, he also made a lot of important mistakes. I think this was a very fun week to watch overall. Week 1 did not disappoint. I think just a quick recap. I thought my set was pretty fun to watch, though it did feature quite a few mistakes on both of our parts, especially my part. I thought Soup played great. He is definitely a contender for Elysium in my eyes. I think Alberto played pretty well, but it was more kind of Pills' mistakes, if anything, that lost him that game. Juvie is another great contender. I can't really see a turn where he made a bad play. I think he just played well throughout, and won in 5 turns game 1 and 4 turns game 2. So that's dominance. Whereas it took a little bit longer. But Soup was able to win very handily as well. And then TBL was able to win in a very close game against Eternum. Cybone was able to outplay Charcoal pretty well, and then SMB and Voids had an incredibly back and forth game. I think my pick for Elysium this week would have to be Juvie. I think he played great. It was between Juvie and Soup, in my opinion, but there were just so many turns where Juvie played very well, set himself up for success, and I mentioned a few moments where Oedipus could have played better to help him be in a more favorable position, but I think despite those, he still would have lost. I think Juvie would have won pretty much no matter what, just because Juvie played so well. And I mean, he lost 2 Pokemon in this game, lost 1 Pokemon in this game, but it wasn't a big deal because he won the set, and that's really what matters. He won both games. I used Archaludon Season 1. I thought it was a great Pokemon, and there definitely are ways to shut it down. Hopefully I'll be able to show them off when I play Archaludon, but he did not help Archaludon's case of being unstoppable, because he just really didn't have a great answer for it on this team. So I think Juvie made a matchup that could have been unfavorable look incredibly dominant on his side. So he would definitely be my pick for this week's Elysium. First game by him in all of ODL. It was very well played. And I thought he would lose beforehand. I hadn't seen either of them play ever, but just on paper, I thought he had a slightly negative matchup. It was a very impressive performance. I think for Fields of Punishment, it's a tough one, probably because there was just so much negative RNG on everyone's side. I lost not to RNG, but I did have a lot of bad RNG on my side. I did win a set, though, or won a game, so I don't think I'm Fields of Punishment worthy. Dori Masuda should get an honorary one just because of the Terra Ensign and the bringing a Morgrim, and so he's definitely an option. Just kind of, he set himself up for failure by bringing a Pokemon that was useless against one of his opponent's best Pokemon, and he made a potentially strong team not look great, and he made Cranidos look like a monster. So Dori Masuda's up there for FOP. I think Pilsa as well, just because he had several. Yeah, I think after kind of thinking through the options, I'm probably gonna go with Pilsa week 1, just because he got pretty unlucky at some points, but he also got very lucky at some points. If you look at even though he missed Will-O-Wisp here, he still got the burn, right? He just made kind of mistake after mistake, and I think that it was just kind of like a lack of confidence in the team, a little bit of a mistake in prep, and the biggest thing for me was just kind of like Alberto felt like he was ahead kind of Alberto felt like he was ahead, and then when Pilsa put himself in a situation like this where it's like it's game over for Alberto, right? Pilsa lost the game, and like there were a lot of moments where like it feels like okay, Pilsa's gonna win now, guaranteed, and he ends up losing. And yeah, I think so. That is why I would make him the contender for Fields of Punishment this week. So now taking a look at our standings, we have in first place we have Soup, and then kind of going down the line we have our top 7 teams, just everyone who won pretty much. You can see that Soup, Juvie, and Saibon, and Alberto all 2-0'd. So there were 4 2-0s, but there weren't any like bad games necessarily. You can see that Void's Tournament and I are the team that went to 3 games and all kept it pretty close. And so I think just kind of looking here too, kind of confirms that Dora Masuda and Pilsa are kind of like reasonable options for Fields of Punishment, and Juvie and Soup are definitely options for Elysium. But yeah, I'm going to stand by that. I stand by my picks, and I think the greatest thing about this draft league is that anybody can start in last or anybody can start in first, and it doesn't really matter. Week 1 is just kind of getting a feel for your team. It's a good practice round. Hopefully everyone had fun, and people who lost, you got 6-7 more weeks, plus playoffs if you make them. So hopefully I can turn things around, and hopefully you guys can all win out the rest of these games and feel more comfortable with your teams. Thank you guys for watching. I know I've gone sorry. I know I've gone over a lot. This has been almost a 2-hour stream, which is just way longer than it should have been, but yeah, I think week 1 is always just kind of like that. It's kind of always a drag, but hopefully in future weeks we can have everything more polished, make things work a little bit better on the streaming side, make things go better, people not accidentally Terra, make things just run smoother. Hopefully now that we've had a week under our belt, we can run a little more smoother. So thank you for everyone who watched. Thank you for everyone who's watching on YouTube, and see you guys.